I don't go into any of these projects thinking I'm going to win an Emmy or I'm going to win a Tony. That's not why I do these things. I pick projects because I think the stories are important to tell, and hopefully it moves me in some way that it will move somebody else. The Emmy is the icing on the cake, honestly. I think the legacy with this, especially this year, is I get to share this moment with my dad, who is also my mentor, and it's a full circle and kind of a testament to everything that I've learned and everything that he's taught me, and kind of like him having the baton and kind of passing it, to me, and kind of carrying it, but making it my own. All of these awards, they're absolutely amazing, but it's not the reason why I do what I do.
There's a higher purpose inside of all of that. So you mean to tell me that if you did get the EGOT in all of those, there would be no flexing happening inside of any of the household? Because I feel like that might not be true. I want to believe you for that higher self that you gave me, because everything sounds beautiful on the mindfulness side, and it's so poised, and she's so well media trained. Yeah. But if I came in a house with the EGOT, I'm flexing on everybody in there on Thanksgiving. I'm like, yo.
EGOT, that's a different story.
While she combs her hair.
What's good, everybody? What's good? Welcome back to yet another episode of Off the Strength, where we're giving you the inside look into all things wellness culture. Damn, I'm feeling sultry right now, Corey.
Weird. I feel like I need to get a little deeper with the voice.
I was feeling that. I'm trying to call Tony, and of course with me I have a gentleman of extraordinary league. Sir. Let's go across the table and introduce yourself, please.
Your trainer, Corey, a.k.a. your favorite trainer's favorite trainer.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of all type from near and far. Our trusty third comrade has been involved in a little bit of bike turbulence, but he should be joining us shortly. Have no fear, have no fret. You are still in store for a treat, because we have another Your Trainer Corey production on this side. Corey, let the good people know what they're in store for today.
People, let me introduce my homie. She was Peggy and Maria in Hamilton, the original cast. Her album, Bluebird, absolute fire it is. She has multiple awards, Best Featured Actor for her role in Cyrano. Yo, sprinkle some respect on her name, because you know she just got an Emmy. Woo. Actor, singer, Brooklyn stand-up for your own, Jasmine Cephas Jones.
Make some noise for Jasmine Cephas Jones, everybody. Come on, let's clap it up in the booth. The Brooklyn bias is strong. Oh, yeah. It's going to be a good show.
Thank you so much. That was the dopest introduction ever.
You know what I'm saying? I do this.
That's what we're trying to go for. Again, if it's going to be on that press junket, we're trying to go two above where the last one was.
Yeah.
That's exactly where we're at.
That was great. That was the best introduction ever. So Thank you, Corey.
That's what we're here for.
Checking the box, baby. All right, cool, nice.
Boom.
It can only go further down from here, let's just drop the mic.
That's the new tag on the show, Off the Strength. Best intros ever.
Very high standards. Very high standards.
Not mad.
So, first off, you know how we like to start the show off? We like to throw that brown sugar question on you. So tell me, Jazz, where were you when you fell in love with wellness and fitness as a whole?
It is still a journey for me. I am in the middle of this finding, my pocket with fitness. I think that's always been kind of a hard part in my life, because I was always that kid that had a fast metabolism and kind of ate whatever I wanted. And then 27 hit. And my body was like, whoa. Let's rewind. You can't just eat everything that you want to eat and do whatever that you want to do. And, I was always that kid that went to performing arts schools, and I wasn't into sports at all. So I was always being in chorus and doing acting lessons and all of that stuff. So I kind of got away with it when I was a teenager and kind of little. It's not until recently, really recently, where, I found you, Corey, as a trainer. My manager recommended you. And I've kind of just now kind of started this journey it's very, very new to me. And I've tried a whole bunch of different stuff. I mean, Corey,
Yeah.
Different like nutritionists, different ways to like eat what's good. And I think I'm just now finding the pocket, and sticking to that. But it's a long journey, and you've got to like try things out and test things out and figure out what's right for you. And I feel like I'm literally right in the middle of that right now.
I think that's a big thing because a lot of celebrities either don't start talking about their wellness fitness journey until they've already like figured it out, or they're just, giving us kind of what people want to hear. But it's good to hear someone in your space like talk about how you're figuring it out currently and you're finding your way through it. Let's get you back to the early beginning, like the early days of jazz, like when you said you were getting in and you were mostly doing chorus and those kind of things. At that stage, at that point, when did you figure out like this is everything I want to do? I want to be on this stage. I want to sing these songs. I want everybody to know like I'm a star. Like when did you know?
Well, I grew up with my father is an actor and my mom is a singer. So I grew up in a very, very creative family since I was little. My mom had like the dopest record collection that I would always listen to after school. I mean, like my first audition song was Living for the City by Stevie Wonder off of the Intervisions album. And I found that at 10. And that was my audition piece for middle school, for LaGuardia, and for Berklee College of Music. So, my first concert was Prince when I was 14. I was listening to D'Angelo Brown Sugar album when I was 11, when I was probably, not a lot of 11-year-olds were listening to that. So, and then, my eyes were open to theater at a very young age. And I was, watching my dad, who was like the first like Black man I ever saw like do Shakespeare and play like Richard III. So like, and he was in a theater company called Labyrinth Theater Company, which artistic director was Philip Seymour Hoffman at the time, and he directed 2 plays that my dad was in. So I was really, really kind of cultured in the creative space. It wasn't until I was in opera workshop at LaGuardia where I played Edith in this opera called Pirates of Penzance. Mm-hmm. And it was dope because if you were in opera workshop at LaGuardia, you got $10 tickets to go to the Met.
Oh.
Metropolitan Opera. And like really amazing seats. Everybody was in their ball gowns and stuff. And we got to like, we were in, still had our book bags on from school and walking in, the opera. And I did that performance. And that was when I combined, singing and acting. And I was like, oh, I think I could actually do this. I like doing this, and I might look to do this for a living. Because before I was like, I love animals and I want to, work with animals. Singing was always something that I was doing. It was part of like my school. But I think I really made that decision of like, this is what I want to do in high school.
First off, shout out to your pops. Tell me about that relationship, because you guys are the first ever daughter-father Emmy winners, I believe. Is that correct?
First father and daughter to win Emmys in the same year, like at the same award ceremony.
That's dope.
We made history this year.
Bragging rights on Thanksgiving. That's what we're coming in on.
Yo, Thanksgiving flex is crazy.
Putting the trophy right on his table.
Yeah,
like,
yep. Your potato salad was good, but how was your Emmy? How's your Emmy?
Our relationship is great. Like he's such a great dad, and he started to become kind of like an acting mentor for me when I left Berklee and started acting school, and I had all of these questions, and I started like analyzing scripts, and I started working on character development. And my dad was always the person that I would kind of go to and ask questions about and kind of geek over this stuff because he understood, you know what I mean? Like he completely understood this world of like finding, getting excited and finding these moments and stuff like that. And we'd see plays together, or I would like chill with him backstage. And, even at like 5, when I was 5 years old, I was at the New Eurekan Poets Cafe.
Yeah.
Like,
shout out to that spot.
3 in the morning.
Oh, what?
We're like running around, you know, that spot, because that's where like my dad started. You know, when my dad was like watching me, he like really included me into his world. And, you know, even at when he would go to auditions and like, he's like, well, no one's going to watch Jasmine right now, so I'm going to bring her. And I'm going to bring her into the audition, and she's going to learn that she's got to just sit in the corner and she's got to be quiet. And people are going to be like, this is how I roll. And so, you know, I've always kind of been like his little road dog almost, you know, like I was always with him in places where, you know, people were like, didn't usually bring their kids, you know what I mean? I mean, creative wise, like,
I understand. Yeah.
Wise, but I was always there, and that was kind of my normal life, you know? So I think it was really dope that he included me, because I think when I made that decision that I wanted to be an artist, I really knew how hard that life is. And there was no, you know, filter on my eyes of, you know, I want to be a star and I want to do this. I was like, this shit is fucking hard work. And, you know, I've watched my parents literally struggle, like being raised in this world, but them continue to struggle because they love what they do so much. And, you know, that's the important thing. So like, I just knew the reality of being an artist. And sometimes you've got 4 or 5 jobs, and you're, you know, you've got your audition sides, and you're working the cashier at the beer garden in Queens and hiding your audition pages underneath the cashier and hoping, trying to study them while you're like, you know, all of that stuff. It's part of it. It's the hustle. So I understood that at a very young age. And I think it wasn't until high school where I was like, all right, it's worth it.
It's beautiful to see that early full immersion, the seed that was planted into the fully fruited and blooming tree that is here today, you know, with both of you winning Emmys in the same year, and the historic context of that. And to really understand how, watching from the wing almost, you got exposure to the stage that I would imagine is invaluable for a lot of different things coming through there. I definitely want to go through and deconstruct a little bit more in that LaGuardia school space, because it is very important. I don't know, Jazz, if you hear that we got some international fans inside here, so I know the Brooklyn bias. Sri Lanka. Brooklyn bias is strong. Midwood, what up? You know, I know where we was coming in from, but a lot of people don't truly understand what it meant to be in a performative high school and what actually was happening inside there. Can you go a little bit more into detail and breaking that down? Because a lot of people thinking of, you're talking about school context, but I know a lot of people that have come from that school, and I know what that was like compared to a regular traditional high school. So can you go into that detail? Because that's where you sound like you made that decision, but also inform people a little bit about what's happening inside there. What's the traditional coursework like? Yeah.
So I went to LaGuardia High School for Performing Arts, which is what they call the Fame School. They made a movie about it. And it, you know, when I think it's changed a lot since I went, but when I was there, it was like the Fame School. People jumping up on tables, dancing during lunchtime in the hallways. Like, that's what it was. And my major, or my talent, was vocal. So for 4 years, you know, you have like your regular academics there, and, you know, they have an honors program and everything, but you also have all this extra curriculum of the arts. I was in the vocal program, so there was opera workshop. There were this thing called senior chorus, where you had to learn how to read music in order to get in. And your freshman year, you start to learn how to read music, and you're singing in arias of German, Italian, French. It was intense, but it was so much fun.
Yeah.
I had the best time in high school. And I grew up in Brooklyn. I still live in Brooklyn.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it was the first time of like, you know, getting up early in the morning, taking the train with all the regular workers. You know what I mean? And it was like exciting to go to school. It's right behind Juilliard.
Yep. And
right behind, you know, the Metropolitan Opera. So it's in a really kind of creative space in the city. So it was just like an exciting time. And I feel like what was kind of dope about LaGuardia, I mean, especially for the vocal program, was we were kind of having like college courses in high school. Like they were very good at teaching you how to read music, teaching you, you know, how to pronounce in different languages, and kind of like the technical part of teaching you how to sing properly. They did that really well, and they got you excited. You wanted to get into senior chorus. You wanted to learn how to read music, so you were a junior in senior chorus. Like that was the cool thing. They had a gospel chorus, which was amazing. This thing called Rising Stars, which is like all freshman, junior, sophomore, anybody could try out for. And then they had like their musical at the end of the year. So there were all different types of performances. You know, there's dance, music, acting, the arts, like, you know, a painter and stuff. And then there was like a tech major. So learning how to build lights and learning how to like sound cue.
For sure.
And like that was also a major there. So it was really dope. It was really dope, and kind of opened my eyes too at a young age of like the culture of the city.
And I'd imagine that seeing the spaces that you would want one day occupy has to bring up a certain type of emotion and feeling. Because to get to that school from where you were coming from in Brooklyn, you have to pass by a lot of the spaces on Broadway where we start to see the name on the marquee. You know, that future self vision. Can you tell us a little bit about the feeling of, you know what, I'm walking past here, I'm going to see myself in here. That first time in the Met, and you looking on stage and you see somebody else doing it, you're like, I could do that. I could see myself up here. You know, I got the register over here.
It's so funny because when I was in high school earlier on, when I was singing, I was kind of like a very high soprano, and I wanted to be a coloratura soprano in opera.
Okay, break that down for the slow people in the back of the class. That's me right here.
Or me up front. What color?
No,
What?
so you know, have y'all seen The Fifth Element?
Yes.
Yes.
So you know the woman that's singing those crazy high notes in The Fifth Element,
The blue lady
alien
with the dreads.
She is a coloratura soprano.
Okay.
Those really high notes were just like that shit. Like that's what I wanted to do. And I remember I got tickets because I was in opera workshop to see The Magic Flute. And The Magic Flute it's a German opera, and it's got the famous woman in it that sings crazy high. I can't do it right now, but it's like, you know,
that's a lot better than we could have gave it to you. So
you don't want to hear mine. You don't want.
That's where it comes from. So I think, you know, being in high school, that was definitely one of those moments of being able to experience that and looking at that stage. But I think also being in those spaces of Labyrinth Theater Company, that theater company that now I'm a part of and that Dad was a part of, I got a lot of inspiration from that place.
Mm-hmm. There's a layered history, a lot of legacy, a lot of texture inside there. I really like where this whole situation is going. And I would dare say that there is a love of wellness and well-being to elevate it a little bit. Starts very early on, because we can't be practitioners that move in this art of the physical activity without a lot of what comes from and is informed by what happens on the art side on the other end of the table. So some people are much better at emoting it and translating that language through mediums like yours. And, you know, you always have people that accompany that and do the physical aspect to it. So it's fascinating to see that. And I think that love affair started very early on. And I could see it weaving in. I mean, if you was listening to the Intervisions on the Stevie side and you got, you know, all the rest of that stuff, you had to be moving around in there. That's as high of well-being as I could give the praise to.
Yeah, that's living right there. I can't
give you nothing. Living just enough for the city, baby. That's what we talking about in here.
Yeah, Jazz, I got a question for you here. So you grew up very differently from a lot of people, right? And a lot of the people that we've spoken to, the people of color who are in the position you're in now, talked about having to dig through the idea of representation because people like them didn't exist. They didn't see themselves. So you growing up in your household, Did you feel like you needed to see people who looked like you, or did you already feel comfortable because of your father and your mother moving the way that they did?
That's a very good question. I always felt we needed to see more of us on TV and film, most definitely. I think because I grew around in that space, I was like, we need to see more of this. And not only do we need to see more of it, it's possible because I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it possible. And I think with me, it's always like, I try not to put myself in a box and kind of be like worldly and eclectic as possible, being a woman of color. I'm not just one thing. I'm many things. And I really, really try hard not to be put in a box. And I feel like in this industry, specifically too, with women of color, they do that. So it's the constant breaking the mold. And no, I must be seen in not just this. I'm not going to just play this part. Like there's so much more to me than that. So I think it was both. I think it was me wanting to see more people of color on TV and film because that's what I've experienced my whole life, and being like, there should be more of it because I know it's out there. You know, I've seen it firsthand, and we are just as good. You know, we just need more of our stories. We need more people behind the scenes. We need more writers of color and more producers and people to make this thing happen that understand our stories.
Is that what drew you toward Hamilton and jumping on that cast and being a part of that experience?
That was a huge part of it. I mean, the music was something I've never heard in my entire life. Mm-hmm. I was like, and this is theater? Like, that was wild to me. And I think the cast is so dope and so individual, and everybody is so good at what they do. So yeah, it was a very special moment. And, you know, when I first auditioned for it, all I had was the Mariah Reynolds song, Say No to This. So I sang that. And then in the callback, it was the director, Tommy Kail, and music director, Alex Lackamore. And he taught me the Peggy part in the audition and wrote it on a napkin.
Okay, shout out to you, playing it off the napkin.
So learned it there. And then I think on my third callback, I did the Peggy part and I did the Mariah Reynolds part. And like, they put me on tape. And after that, I didn't fully hear the whole book of the music yet. It wasn't until I got the job and they gave me the whole entire book and stuff to listen to. And I was like, this is what I'm a part of. Like, it blew my mind. I was like, I knew it was something special. I knew the song that I was auditioning with. I was like, what is this R&B song? This is like, what? It wasn't until after I got the job. And then, you know, I would learn the music as much as possible. And then, you know, you walk into the rehearsal room on the first day and you see that whole cast and everybody doing their thing. And you're just like, I'm a part of something that has never been done before. Holy shit. Like, holy shit. No idea it was going to become what it is now. I just knew it was special and that I was grateful to be a part of it at that moment.
You know, you're part of a big deal when the whole Disney Plus is launched based on you. Like, they basically launched Disney Plus. That's a huge carry right there. Just back, you're at the point, you've done Hamilton. You're trying to figure out what your next move is, like where you're trying to go. You have so many different bags. So did you just take the first opportunity, or did you make a conscious effort to say, all right, now here's where I'm going now that I've done this?
Well, I think it's always a journey, right? I came off this crazy high of this show for 2 years that was like done in a way that's never been done before. Going to the White House, like crazy, Prince coming to the show, Beyonce and Jay, like that was every day for me. And then it wasn't. And then it was like finding your place again and coming back to reality of the world. And for me, it was almost like building back up again. It was a very weird feeling. So I actually kind of not wanted to get away from it, but I wanted to do something completely different. And so immediately I was like, I want to take a break from theater and I want to get into more of film and TV. And, you know, I got some really dope projects, Monsters and Men and Blind Spotting movie, and just like some really cool shows like Mrs. Fletcher and other bits and bobs like here and there, and then like working on my music. So after I left Hamilton, I really started writing for the first time and just started kind of finding my voice while I was kind of like waiting for the next job. And, you know, that's how like Bluebird kind of formed from there. And it took me like 2 years to write that because I did a lot. Like it was just me and this other producer, Zach Golden, and like my friend Will Wells. And I just asked a bunch of my friends to kind of come on, and I kind of did the whole project, you know, by myself with like the help from my friends. So I think I wouldn't have even done that if I didn't kind of feel that crazy low after Hamilton. And that's kind of where that EP sits and where those feelings come from, you know, that feeling.
It's a very soulful album. It's like deep.
Yeah, it's a very deep number.
Get some chamber music society kind of vibes inside there for sure. I definitely vibe and I dig on that. And it comes across in some way, shape, or form in that reinventing and that reconstituting, because there's a lot of different things that you said you want to do to move away slightly from where you were, and how even stylistically you had to sing in the show, and now blending that into what your own voice is going to be. You're interweaving a lot of different, I would imagine, after hearing now that you talk about listening to Stevie, listening to D'Angelo, listening to some of these other people, like in the construction of that audio profile, what's something that's an important intention when you're sitting down to write an album like that? Like when you were coming across there, what was something that you wanted to get across about your persona?
The thing for me was I didn't consider myself a songwriter because when I was younger, I worked with a couple of producers that, you know, they were like, well, who do you want to sound like? And I was like, I don't want to sound like anybody or myself. Like, I'm not trying to sound like anybody. So it was the first time, like, I didn't have anybody on my back trying to make me sound like something. And the most important thing for me was to write from an honest and truthful place in order for me to find my sound, you know? And if you kind of like listen to the EP, like it's not just one sound, it's a bunch. And just kind of every kind of music that has influenced me, that's what was in that EP. And I think just me as an artist in general, even with the acting as well, like I just always try to be truthful and honest and find the truth in whatever character that I play. I think that's the most important thing for me as an artist.
You've played a lot of different roles. Some of the roles that you've played seem to be drastically different people. Which one of those roles spoke to you the most? Like, where were you playing a character and you felt like I really feel her?
I don't know. I always try to bring up a part of myself, I guess, to a lot of the characters that I play. But I think the recent one that I did of Taisha in Free Ray Sean on Quibi, it was one of the most challenging roles I've ever done emotionally. And I think I just really, really felt for her. I had to tap into that feeling of I might lose my husband and my family any second. It could be the next second. It could be in 5 minutes. It could be in an hour. Like playing her, she was constantly on her toes and on edge of about to lose somebody. And I think it was fun in a way where it challenged me emotionally the most, if that makes any sense.
It definitely could. And I would imagine that being a multi-hyphenate, putting all your energy, effort, and emotion into these different places that you have to really dig deep and get everything out of it so that people feel that authenticity and that true energetic pass as you're going through there. What do you have to do to replenish after you do a role like that? I'm just curious as to, like, you know, what's the recovery process from doing something that deep? Sleep?
Literally go to sleep.
I love it.
Shake it off. Because, you know, the thing with like a piece like that is like, it's so deep and it takes so much out of you that you have to kind of have that emotion really close to you. You can't completely let it go until the piece is done, until you're wrapped. Because how are you going to go back and it takes so much energy to go all the way back in there and try to find it again. So it's almost like in your subconscious, you know that, fuck, like I've got to go to this emotional space like in an hour or tomorrow or for the next 3 days. And you just have to be conscious of that and take care of yourself and get sleep and be kind to yourself.
I'm going to dig into your mental health bag a little bit. You're in the space of carrying this kernel of pain for this character, but you also have to like live life. And you know, you're newly engaged, everything's happy at home, you're doing good. How do you balance both? How do you go back and forth from like, I'm home and now I'm back to this character? How do you balance that?
I think where I really did it the most was I did Cyrano. Mm-hmm. And a play called Cyrano, and I played Roxanne, and Peter Dinklage played Cyrano. And at the end of the show, my husband dies, and then Peter Dinklage dies in my arms.
Oh, man.
So I experienced 2 deaths in a matter of 15 minutes, which is like really, really intense. And then, you know, I take the bow, and I'm all emotional and crying like while I'm bowing, and then it's over. And I think it's like, it's kind of what I was saying before. It's, you have this emotion. It's something that happens in your subconscious. Maybe it's, I don't know, all the training that I've done, but it's like a light switch. And you learn to kind of go into that space, but you know, it's not your personal space.
I got you.
It's a what if. Studied Meisner method acting. And the saying is, being truthful under the imaginary circumstances. So it's like having the truest emotion under this circumstance that is not real. It's like that light switch of finding that real, raw emotion, but knowing that it is not your personal emotion. Does that make any sense?
It really does.
It really does. It seems like it would also transfer over to, like, you know, if the laundry wasn't exactly folded, you might get some of that Cyrano energy if you was coming home the right way. It might be some transference.
Yo, how many times you come home and the trash wasn't taken out, you just flip.
It's just, what is this?
Start hitting the high note. Get that damn trash.
You hit the register. It might be a part. You know, I think it might blend over a little bit, but it sounds like this household has some good boundaries. Man, I gotta shout out to everything inside that situation.
Yo, I'm gonna tell an inside look on the household one time. So Jazz, I'm about to tell your abs story.
Oh man.
So Jazz pops up and sees her abs for the first time.
That's what's up.
Right? She's like, yo, I got the top 2 abs. She then on the spot invents this top 2 abs song. Right? So I'm in the background. Now, we all know Anthony, her fiance. So Ant's in the back. He's singing too. Right?
You had the backups.
Then the dog starts bopping. Next thing, you ever see those Disney things where like the birds are singing and the girl's singing and yo, they had a whole ass Disney background joint going on, and I'm in awe. I'm like, I'm watching this joint like, nah, this ain't really what's happening.
That's what the household is about. Yo, Lynn, get to writing right now. We got a whole new chapter to come inside here.
They got a live ass reality show all day.
That is a normal day in our household.
Neighbors must love you guys. They're just coming in and shit.
They are actually singing on the rooftop.
Singing back and forth, you know? He's like, what's that Trader Joe's list? All right, we will bust this down. What'd you need? He's like, okay, high note.
We need lettuce.
Literally, though. That's That's what goes on in this house.
That's what's up.
It's not even a joke.
Moving on to the next thing. So stepping through, we've now done we know what your high school experience is like. You decided you're going to do this thing. You're going to be on this stage. You're a star. Your album's out. You've gotten your balance. And now what's the next swing? Now that you've gotten your Emmy, you already did that mad early, right? So what's the next goal for you? What's your next step in your evolution, your success in your career?
Honestly, I just want to keep doing projects that I want to do, and I just want to expand myself. As I said before, I never want to put myself in a box. So, one of my favorite actors of all time is Gary Oldman, because he's such a transformer. And I just want to continue to transform myself with characters and kind of keep pushing myself in a way that I feel like people would never see me in,
I got you.
And I think that is like my ultimate goal, really. And to kind of have just scripts on my desk of like, what do you want to do next? You know what I mean? Like, what character do you want to play this time? That is the ultimate goal for me. And that's no matter what medium. I'm about to do a TV show, Blind Spotting, which is based off of the movie, and it follows the character Ashley that I played and just her point of view and her story. And, it's the first time I'm playing a lead in a TV show and kind of carrying the show. And it's really terrifying and really exciting at the same time. And, I've never done that before. So it's kind of like that's my next step, really kind of doing things that I've never done, characters that I've never played, kind of transforming myself in a way that I've never done. And that's always kind of like my next goal. I've always wanted to be a lead in a movie or a TV show, and I finally kind of got that. So that's kind of like my next project to dig into and fall on the ground and get back up again and try new things and emotionally dive in a way and have an arc as a character that I've never had before.
One of the things that my man Kyle always says is, don't talk to me about what I did before. I'm a new person now, right? Don't talk to the old me, talk to the new me. So you building up that new you every time. You're going to be like a new actress every time. You played a new role every time.
Yeah. And there's roles that I've said no to and turned down because I've already done that before,
right.
And it's like, no, I want to keep doing new things and new projects and new characters and explore. I think that's what makes me interested as an artist. That's what excites me.
It's almost an opportunity for like a rebirth every time you come into a new situation.
Yeah, for sure. And, kind of like proving to myself, if I say, oh, I can't do that, it's like, well, actually you can. If you just try hard enough, you can. And that's kind of, I feel like with women, it's such a slimmer, you don't see it as much as you see. I feel like with men, you see it all the time with men in this industry, where they constantly change themselves and transform. I feel like the woman who does it the best is Meryl Streep.
Facts. Absolutely.
So I want to see more women do that instead of just playing the girlfriend or the wife and kind of like filling this space up with just that title. Like, I'm not interested in that.
What would you think has to happen in order to facilitate that dynamic aspect that you're seeing in the storytelling?
More women directors, more women writers, more opportunities for women to kind of change the narrative. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the thing that I'm interested in and what I want to do. And in order for me to do that, I've got to say no to those roles. That kind of put me in the same box. I'm like, I'm done with this box. On to the next one.
I definitely feel that there's a worldwide air of change along that route, guys.
Absolutely.
Everybody's seeing that the creative spectrum has to shift. Everybody's seeing that most of the traditional houses that used to say, okay, this is the only type of thing that you can do in any industry is having to evolve and go through that same process. So as we are in a time and in the spirit of change, it's important to have the people who are cultivating that start to speak to that voice and speak to that truth. As some of the barriers of entry are a little bit lower today, at least, than they were before, giving more truth to that voice as to what needs to happen starts to plant those same seeds that maybe, Jazz, even you saw in the sideline on the wing of the stages at that early age. And it's like, okay, I could do that. I know who Ava is. I could get into this bag. I can go over here and start writing. It's like, I understand how to do this. And she teaches classes on this. Okay, I'm going to go check this out. So the opportunity is there as you're speaking it into fruition right now.
We have such a limited chance to do something that deviates from the preset norms, the preset boxes, that not only does it have to be good and have your voice, but it also has to be successful. Because if you do these things and they don't make money, it's really hard to get them to do it again. So shout out to you for one, stepping out in that lane, deciding to not necessarily take the preset path of like, yo, here go all the money, just do this and you're going to make the money. And deciding to know, let me just do the good work. Let me get the right roles and let me show you that it can look this way and still be successful and still make a lot of money.
Yeah. The thing is, like, you have to show people that it can make money. Everything is mainstream because that's what people think that's what mainstream is until you show them that it's not. You know what I mean? So, like, you're the one that has to shake it up, and show people that people are interested in this. People do want to see this. It can happen, but, it's a harder journey for sure. It's definitely not the easy road. It's the harder journey, but I think to me, it's worth it.
Most definitely. I mean, again, if 20 years ago you were trying to pitch a show, it was like, yo, check this out, guys. I want to make sure that I get a hip hop version of the early founders of the nation to be on here, and it's going to be nothing but people of color playing inside that. Might have been a hard sell.
Might have.
Until,
Yo, you just lost it with like 9 different aspects of
that's
that.
what I'm saying. So just on the inception of it, it's like that's a high bridge to cross until you see somebody do it, right? And that's the important context of giving that an inspiration to aspiration kind of continuity. But I also hear something else inside there, Corey, where Jazz is talking about there's a flexible aspect to what it would seem like success is defined by inside of her story somewhere, because there's optionality there, right? It's success in the singing, it's success in the acting, it's success on theater, all the rest of that. Jazz, I would like to ask you, how do you define success? Yeah, I mean, from the outside looking in, there's a lot of things that you can quantify to say that is success, but what's your personal definition of that?
Success is me being happy doing what I love to do. Mm-hmm. I'm even grateful that I can even be a performer and make money to do that, and to do it my way is successful. And not to I think the ultimate success for me is being able to do what I love my way and be happy doing it.
One thing I want to harken back to in that line of success, I think people need to hear you talk about this a little bit. That difference of that high level of success that you had when you were in Hamilton, and then the change from when Hamilton ended, and then you sort of went back to not quite being a regular person, but being an actor and not like on this heavy stage in the midst of this big machine that was running forward. The album helped you get out of that place and kind of got you through it. But I want to dive a little bit into what it's like to have that variable, that malleable level of success and influence and spotlight.
It was kind of insane coming off of that because, you're kind of like known for Peggy and Mariah Reynolds, but you're like, that's not just what I can do, so it was like starting over again and kind of coming from this crazy high of like, it was almost like being in a dream of a piece of theater, and the life that we were living, we were also exhausted.
It was like 8 shows a week or something like that?
Almost a 3-hour show 8 times a week.
Yeah.
For like 2 years, basically. And, kind of coming off that, and, you have a regular schedule. You know what you're going to do from the beginning and at the end of the day. And as an artist, you usually don't get a schedule like that. So like, even just the way that we were living and kind of adapting to that and kind of on this like high adrenaline, every night of performing. And then, Anthony and I, we left the show and then we went to LA. So it was a brand new space, kind of like reclaiming the space again and reintroducing yourself. And, it's what we do. There are highs. You're going to be like really high. And then there's some lows, and it's like kind of navigating. And it was really jarring at first, but I learned how to navigate and find the right projects and just have patience with myself and kind of adapt to this life that is not Hamilton, that is not the show. I didn't miss the show because I was like, when I was done with it, I was like, I'm done. But, I missed the people, and it was kind of like being the fish out of water for a second. You're like, whoa, I gotta realign myself, and I just have to learn how to have patience with myself and kind of almost get back in the groove of things. And I eventually found it. Took some time, but got there in the end.
That's a huge lesson for a lot of people who are aspiring to be in the same place you're in now. The idea that success isn't necessarily linear and that it has some ebb and flow to how much exposure you're having in the midst of building this level of success. I think a lot of people see it, and once they get there, they think, well, we're never falling off, or it's never going to change, or it's not going to look and smell and taste different. And the reality of it is, like you said, it's very different from time to time, and you have to be patient.
Yeah. I think people think it like happens overnight and it's a sprint, and it's like, no, man, this is a marathon. And, if you want to do it your way, you've got to have patience and, be kind to yourself and really love what you do. You have to.
Jazz, in that same vein, can you speak about what legacy means to you? Being as though that you won the Emmy and you were the first father and daughter to win the Emmy together, what does awards like that mean, and what does your personal definition of legacy mean?
I don't go into any of these projects thinking I'm going to win an Emmy or I'm going to win a Tony. Like, that's not why I do these things. I pick projects because I think the stories are important to tell, and hopefully it moves me in some way that it will move somebody else. The Emmy is the icing on the cake, honestly. I think the legacy with this, what is so special is, especially this year, is I get to share this moment with my dad, who was also my mentor. And it's a full circle and kind of a testament to everything that I've learned and everything that he's taught me, and kind of like him having the baton and kind of passing it to me and kind of carrying it, but making it my own. All of these awards, they're absolutely amazing, but it's not the reason why I do what I do.
There's a higher purpose inside of all of that. So you mean to tell me that if you did get the EGOT in all of those, there would be no flexing happening inside of any of the household? Because I feel like that might not be true. I want to believe you for that higher self that you gave me, because everything sounds beautiful on the mindfulness side and it's so poised, and she's so well media trained. Yeah. But if I came in a house with the EGOT, I'm flexing on everybody in there on Thanksgiving. I'm like, yo.
That's a different story.
You're going to see all these trophies at the same time. That's all I'm trying to tell you.
Fam. Shout out to my homie. She's real humble. But I was like, yo, you ready for this workout? She was like, yo, I just want an Emmy, fam.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, you got to talk to me different.
Get out of here. I ain't doing no planks right now. I just want an Emmy.
You better refer to me as Emmy Award-winning workout. You got an Emmy,
you can make me do a workout. But until you get an Emmy, you can't tell me nothing.
Talk to me here now.
That is so funny.
I tell you what, though. My man Oscar.
Yeah, exactly. Whoever you need. The full EGOT flex. That's what we're going for. I like that.
And that is hilarious.
So, Jazz, my bad I was late to the party today, but I was able to get some gems in the end. So before we wrap the show, we'd like to ask our guests to leave our listeners with something off the strength, a gem, if you will, to give them so that they can propel and put their best foot moving forward.
I think the advice that I can give that I've learned through all of this whole entire journey, is that you will always have fear. fear is always going to be there. And usually having that fear or being nervous or scared means that you care about it. So it's not about the fear going away. It's learning how to navigate through the fear so it doesn't stop you from doing what you have to do. I've been fearful getting on stage after my 150th performance of Hamilton, but I've learned how to navigate through that fear so it doesn't stop me from getting on stage, or it doesn't stop me from creating whatever I want to create, or writing that album, or writing that TV show, or being the lead, even though I've never been a lead before in a TV show. Do I have moments where I'm scared of that? Yeah, but I will never let that stop me from doing what I have to do.
There we go. Never letting fear be the thing that limits you inside here. Fellas, we can't let fear limit us inside here.
I'm scared to.
You can't. You should be scared to have fear, man.
I'm scared of fear.
You should not. Fear not. Yea, though we walk through the valley. We got to make sure. We got to make sure, you got to make sure you show up for yourself. And again, keep feeding that thing that's going to make you reinvent. Once you reach one level of success, go to the next level. Keep transcending, much like Jazz has told us through this story, Corey.
Yeah, I'm you know what? I'm going to get over my fear of high notes.
Yeah, I'm going to get over my fear.
I'm going to work on my...
You're going to hit all the register. We're going to be inside
if you
there.
put your finger up, it helps you get the note higher.
It's really the vibrato.
I saw that.
I sell it with the hand. If you sell it with the hand,
that's
usually...
You got to raise that hand.
But helps you.
Yeah, see, that's how I did it.
See,
I just broke a glass on the other side of the joint.
We've been taking some notes. I'm going to study. I'm going to make sure I'm brushing up on that side. And last question I'm going to leave you with, since fear is not going to be the option that we leave off with, we've had two people from the same show on here. So I'm just going to go ahead and ask for Lynn's number right now. Can I get that on the air? I'm not going to let fear be the thing that limits me in this conversation. Jazz, I'm taking your advice. You gave it to me. So it's 917.
Not take away that information.
Yo, but shoot your shot, fam.
You gotta shoot every shot.
Go for it.
Now you know Tony's DMs is crazy.
The worst is that somebody says no.
Yeah, right? And then we just move on. It just keeps it going.
But we got the first three numbers. We know what starts with.
Yeah, we in the area code. We know, we'll figure it out. We're going to just go through. It's going to be a very labored process, but we will eventually get to this side, Corey.
Yo, Jazz, thank you so much for pulling up. We appreciate you. Mad love. Thank you for clearing the path and doing your own thing and showing us what it sounds like. We are expecting another album at some point, so know that pressure is on you.
And we already made commitment for background vocals on one half of the household, so we pulling up. Let me know. You need a street team. Listen, the chamber music street team is going to be a different type of street team.
The 36 chamber music.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly where we're going. Right there. Enter all 36 of these chambers. That's where we're going with.
This was awesome and literally the best introduction I've ever had. So.
Nailed it.
Corey.
One new friend. Thank
you, guys.
Thank you so much. It's been another fantastic episode of Off the Strain from a trainer called Tony.
Your trainer, Corey.
KR Jones.
Peace and much love to y'all out there. Until next time, we'll see you soon.
Bye.